reason why I love making cinema, it's because, in a way, it's the repetition of that childish but very important moment. I don't remember if I've done it, but sometimes I think I'm doing movies because I want to repeat that moment, or maybe the opposite. I want to do movies because I never done it as a child, and I want to be today spying in a keyhole.
Oh, Switzerland, oh, Switzerland, oh, Switzerland.
The murdering of Professor Quatri and his wife was probably one of the most emotional sequences that we've done in The Conformist. And I remember that we were in North Italy at the Abetone. It was really winter time. And we done several things that we have the last afternoon for us. And after we have to come back to Rome, our time was over. And Bernardo said to me, Vittorio, the sequence is very complex. We done, I think, all the necessary shots that we need to create in the atmosphere, the tension.
In a way, when I saw the scene, I had that idea that a certain camera crane movement following the husband who goes out of the car, and then these people appear with knives, with daggers, and stab him all over, reminded me of Julius Caesar. But I felt in that moment that it was the right thing to do. You know, also the acting of Jean-Louis, who is so still inside the car, while around a tragedy is happening. Even him, when he sees that the girl, Dominique Sanda, runs toward their car, and she sees Marcello inside, and she starts knocking on the car window, and he closes completely the car. He doesn't look at her, or if he looks, then she understands that he's behind all this murder. And the moment she understands, her face is distorted by anguish, despair, need of revenge, and is like a sculpture. It doesn't move. The end of the movie is different. In the book, the conformist, his wife, and the child, they live in a car like escaping from the war. There is an airplane which is maybe of the Allies, or nobody knows in the book, which sees the car and goes down and machine guns the car, and they all die, and the conformist died. I wasn't happy about that. So I thought it would be much more punishing for the character suddenly when he sees the man that he thought to have killed when he was a kid, alive, trying to seduce another young man. He sees him alive, and he understands that all his life, all his desire to be a conformist was based on the idea that he was different because he was sex abused by this man. So this man is alive, so he hasn't killed him. He wasn't different. He has a kind of explosion.
What are you doing?
Let me be!
I got to know!
Let me alone!
Murderer! Murderer!
And I think that in the last shot of the film, when Jean-Louis Trintignant sitting turns his face toward the camera and looks, you can understand that suddenly he understood the truth about himself. I like to think that I'm the last one to understand my movies, but I think for me, it's better like that. I couldn't go to a set knowing already what I want to do. Being where the scene will happen, in those walls, in front of these people, those bodies, those costumes, those lights. It's like that. It's always been like that. I must tell you that with the editing, till The Conformist, I had a strange relationship. You shoot, and then in the evening you go to see what you have shot yesterday, and these are called the dailies, the rushes. The rushes contain kind of wild force, chaotic, unshaped, which I was thinking is always lost after the editing. I was considering the editing an operation of law and order, a kind of operation of police. The editing gives a conformist shape to what was beautifully wild.
When we started, we didn't know that the movie could be presented as a memory, as a flashback. We started in a kind of linear way to go. But at the same time, was the first film that Bernardo was doing with Kim Arcalli. Kim Arcalli was an Italian editor.
I was forced by my producer, was my cousin Giovanni, forced because I wanted him to force me to get a new editor. This new editor was Franco Arcalli, nicknamed Kim, great character from Venice. The Conformist is the moment when, thanks to Kim, I discovered what editing can be. I was shooting, for example, very long shot.
What did the colonel say?
There's a small change in the program.
Because long shot mean you can avoid the moment of the editing. Kim was cutting them and was putting them together with material which I haven't thought before could go in the way he was putting them. If you stop to be obsessed about being over-controlling everything, and if you abandon yourself to the right hands, you discover free association of shots.
Stop!
Which you haven't thought. And that for me was really when I found out that the editing is extraordinary.
How long is it since your last confession?
Since I made my first Holy Communion.
Bad, my son, very bad.
And so we were talking about changing the structure. And Kim told me it would be very, very easy because, maybe unconsciously, you shot in a way that is very possible to go with flashbacks, etc.
Now you must tell me the details.
Oh, that's enough, please.
When I showed the film to the Moravia, who was our greatest novelist in those years, he was surprised and loved it. And I remember going with 2 movies to the New York Film Festival. One was The Conformist and the other one was The Spider Stratagem. Already to have 2 movies in a festival, it was exciting. It doesn't happen every day. I remember the then director of the festival, great friend and a great movie critic, Richard Raud, walking out, coming back 5 minutes later with the New York Times with the reviews, and the reviews for The Conformist were really very, very good. And I remember going to the American distributor the day after. He invited me to the office, and I said, congratulations, the reviews are beautiful. The audience was very pleased. And I said, great, and when is the movie opening? And he looked at me if I said a nonsense. Opening? You mean in this country? The movie will never open in this country. I said, why? Because it's not a movie for the American audience. Then, a few weeks later, I found out that there was a letter written by Francis Ford Coppola and other directors, maybe Arthur Penn, Sidney Lumet, I remember very well. Directors I admired a lot, asking the American distributor of The Conformist to open the film. And at the end, it had his little opening, little release in the States. Before coming out in Italy, which is the first country where the movie opened, the film made, I don't know, 2 hours and 5 minutes. So the distributors came to me and said, listen, let's make 2 hours, be nice to me. If you can cut 5 minutes, make 2 hours, sharp. I was so pleased that I've done the film, and I was able to do it, and I said, why not? So I went to look the film again, and I saw that there was one sequence which made more or less that length, 5 minutes. And it was added by me. It wasn't in Moravia's novel.
When Marcello Clerici got married, his friend wanted celebrating this marriage. So the best way to celebrate is making a nice party for him with all his blind people all around. Another symbol, Fernando Scarfiotti find a basement where to do this kind of celebration. So something that is underground. Underground, it means also be under the level of consciousness. So to be underneath, people that cannot see. And also the symbolic feeling of Marcello Clerici. And we spoke with Fernando Scarfiotti and Bernardo, which kind of light blind people can use. This is a celebration for somebody that can see. So which is the best present that they can give it to them? Colors. So we decided to hang all around Chinese lantern with different color, red, green, blue, orange, in order to give something that is the maximum homage that the blind person can give to somebody that can see.
Quite like it because it's very symbolic. It tells about Italy in the fascism. You had a lot of blind people who even voted for Mussolini, who was elected by the Italians. Because it was added by me, it wasn't really completely necessary to the story, I thought. Let's cut it.
So the movie was released without this sequence. A few years ago, when Paramount, through Gareth Smith, called me to transfer the film on tape, during the transfer, the telescene, suddenly I discovered this sequence. It was a kind of resurrection. And I was so happy, I remember, during the section, that I called right away Bernardo. I said, Bernardo, there's a kind of miracle. You remember the sequence that we shot in the basement at the end? We said, no, that's a pity that we lost, because there was the kind of relationship between him and his friend. He says, yes, I remember, Vittorio, Bernardo is here. What do you mean he's here? He's in the film. What do you mean this is the film? This is the original negative. The original negative was never touched. Only the matrix was touched. I said, that's great. That's a great sign. That means that sequence should be in the movie since ever.
So it's like a miracle, like somebody found where you don't think there is no more life, and yet there is a blossom coming out, and that was this scene.
It rains from the scattered clouds. It rains on the parched tamarisks about you.
One thing that really touched me soon after The Conformist was the behavior of people that knew me before, in the way they changed, like I was a different man. Many people from the industry or from friends came to me, addressed to me in a different way. They treat me in a different way. They discover something. No doubt The Conformist changed completely my position as a cinematographer, not only in Italy but through all around the world, because through it I was able to do Apocalypse Now, through Apocalypse Now I was able to do Reds, and I was able to come back to Bernardo after in Last Emperor, and so the circle was complete between learning and teaching when you move it between two different cultures, two different way to expressing ourselves in the movie industry.
You know, the good thing when you talk about a movie that you made at this moment, I think something like 35, 36 years ago, is that doesn't belong to you anymore. I mean, I feel finally detached from the film. The film belongs to the viewers, belong to the people who still sees it and like it, or not. But it's very good also to be here so long after the making of this film and to be able to think of that film like somebody else did it. Somebody else who was you then, who maybe is somewhere inside me still now, or maybe not.